Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and today we are putting up pickles, okay? So, as you guys know, I have not been able to garden or do anything that really has to do with homesteading because I had an accident, shattered my tibia, fractured my tibia plateau. So I could not do any of that this year. So I have been buying from farmers, okay? And instead of living in New Mexico where I was, I am back home where I was born and raised in Northeast Ohio because, well, I could not possibly live alone at the time. So anyways, I've been buying my produce and stuff from local farmers. It's been great. So, on Market Wagon, you have all these local farmers and stuff. So there is one farmer where last week he just said, I'm on the ends here, and so I'm giving a great price for a half pack of whatever vegetables I have left. And so I got it, and well, I ended up with more cucumbers. I don't like cucumbers, but I love pickles. Weird, right? Anyways, so I'm going to put up my third batch of pickles for the season. And I thought I would show you guys how I do it. Now you can find the written instructions. I'm going to say instructions instead of recipe because it's more like recipe, because the way I cook, I just kind of throw things together and then I tell people how I do it. It's not a formal recipe, but you can find it on my new blog called Life on the Fringe, and that is at lifeonthefringe3.wordpress.com, and I will put the link to that blog post in my description. Okay, so as you can see, I have my jars prepared. I have my lids still in here, my lids and my rings. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. You want to wash your jars in your lids, okay, and then you want to sterilize them. Boil them in water. 5 to 10 minutes I do. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what I do. So I did that. I did cut up a couple of my cucumbers already, or I should say a few. I'm doing some is hamburger slices, and the others is spears, okay? This batch, I would say, it's gonna make more than 16 ounces, obviously. So anyways, it's more than I thought, but I estimate everything. So what I'm saying is when I do, especially jams, jellies, any type of food preservation, pickling, whatever, it doesn't always come out accurate to what you think it's going to come out, okay? You could get more or less. So always prepare 1 or 2 more jars than you think it's going to prepare. I'm down to my last jars, well, actually lids. So I may have to redo this batch again. So anyways, so you want to wash your cucumbers. And then what you want to do is after you wash them, I'm going to go over here. Sorry, I'm hobbling. I'm still limping and stuff. Got my cane right here, but I'm walking, but I got a bad limp. So, what you want to do, all right, now, the last couple ones that I sliced up, this here is kind of like wrinkled and kind of going, so I slice it off here, discard that part. Then at the back here, I slice about here, okay? So that's what I'm going to do now. Because you want to get rid of that part. It's not good anymore. So these were, he said they were his ends. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, now this one, I think I'm going to do this one as a spear, I guess. So what I do with that, I'm just going to slice it long ways in half. I'm just going to take my halves and slice it like that. Sorry for my back to you. If I ever get a spear that is like too big, I'll slice it again. But I think this one's okay. Okay, so that's how I chop those. All right, so say I want to do hamburger slices. Again, you want to chop off this bad part here. Even if it's like early in the season and it's still good, still chop off that as much of that end as you think you need to. Okay, so then I have my ends chopped off. So I'm just gonna, you can make them as thick or as thin as you want. I'm doing mine, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay, these are some pretty big slices here. This is a big cucumber. Yes, they're getting to their ends. I'm waiting for the ends for tomatoes because I'm going to buy a bunch of tomatoes, maybe a peck or two, on discount. I'm going to blanch them, and I think I'm going to make a whole bunch of my spaghetti sauce, which again, there's no recipe to. If you're Italian, you don't have a recipe for sauce. You just know how to make it because your mother or your grandmother taught you how to make it. So, I got these all sliced up. All right. So, like I said, you're going to pack your jars with your cucumbers. Okay. Then, what I do is I take some nice big cloves of garlic. And you want to get the skins off. This is how I get the skins off. Place it on my cutting board. Put the flat end of my knife on here and give it a smack. And it all comes popping off. Now, in a jar this size, I like to put, at the very least, 2 cloves in a jar. Okay, so you want your cloves cut in half. So I'm going to cut that in half. And I'm going to stick them down in my jar. Okay, I have some more cut here. So I'm just going to put a few of these in here. Now again, I don't really measure. I just eyeball it. Okay, so then, after I'm done packing all the cucumbers in my jars, and then I pack my garlic in there, what I'm going to do next is take a brand new container here. Take my dill seed. Now you can use dill weed or the dill seed. Now the last time I put up a batch of pickles, I had fresh dill weed. If I don't have that, then I'll use dill seed. And I don't even know. Again, I just put dill seed in there. Now, if you're using dill weed, a jar this size, depends on the size of the blossom. If it's a large one, I put 2. If they're smaller, I don't know, 3 or 4, you just pack them down in there, and they look so pretty. I prefer the dill weed over the seed because it looks pretty in the jar. So anyways, so then I put in my dill weed or my dill seed. Then I have mustard seed, and I'm going to put some of that. Again, I don't measure. I just throw some in. Probably less mustard seed than I do dill weed or dill seed. So I have that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to finish up the rest, packing the rest of my jars. Now, one thing with the mustard seed. There have been times I didn't have mustard seed on hand. So what I did was when I made my brine, I put in prepared mustard. And it worked great. It did. So I'm going to finish packing these up. And I'll get back to you and show you how I make the brine. Okay? Okay, everybody, so I have my brine cooking here right now. So what I do is I put equal parts water to distilled white vinegar. So in this case, with the amount of cucumbers I have, I did 3 cups of water and 3 cups of white distilled vinegar. Then I added a 1/4 cup of sugar and 3 tablespoons of sea salt. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm heating this up and stirring it. I want the sugar and the salt to dissolve. And then I want my brine to heat up till it's hot. I'm not going to really boil it, but I'm going to get it fairly hot because I'm going to seal my jars the cheating way. I'm going to, my lids are still in the hot water. Keep it hot. So when I put the hot brine in the jars, I'm going to put my lids on hot, straight from the hot water, and I am going to finger shut my rings and immediately turn the jars over. Now, I'm not sure that's the preferred way to do it. No one in my family has ever gotten sick from me or friends for me doing it that way. But I would probably recommend a hot water bath. I'm being very bad right now with this bad leg. I just can't stand in the kitchen and move things all that well. And my whole family's gone today. I'm home alone, which is why it was a good day to do a video. Anyways, what you want to do is fill your canner with enough hot water or enough water to cover your jars, but at least 2 inches over the top of the jars. So you bring that to boil. Then you're going to set your jars with the lids on and rings on it in your jar rack. And very carefully, you're going to put it into your canner. Whoops, I said carefully. Anyways, once you've got them in there, you want to put the lid back on and bring it back to a boil. You want to boil these jars. Now, I'm at approximately 1,050, 1,060 foot elevation where I am. I would do it for about 15 minutes. If you were when you get to high elevations, you have to keep adding to it. So when I lived in central New Mexico, I would probably do it at least 20 minutes. Knowing me, probably 25 to 30 minutes. Okay? So you want to know your elevation, know how high you are, and find out how long you should process your jars in the canner. But I'm just going to turn these upside down. So I am almost at the point, my sugar, and ooh, I forgot my ladle. I actually have a ladle now. Moving up in the world. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I got a ladle. So this is getting pretty hot. Getting there, some steam's coming up. And got my handy dandy canning funnel. So what we're gonna do is put that there. My dog's about to bark, I think. Nope, he's being a good boy. Okay. You guys, I don't know, some of you don't know, I have this huge Great Pyrenees. His name is Sirius. Well, he didn't do it on purpose, but that's how I shattered my leg. I'm not going to go into the specifics right now. But this was back on January 31st, and I had emergency surgery. So it's been almost 6.5 months. So I'm almost there. I was in a wheelchair for a few months. It was not fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ladle my brine into my jars, and you want to get the brine to cover the top of the cucumbers. Okay. Gotta be very careful with that. Okay. Alright, so that jar there is filled with brine. I do not have the proper means to get my lids out of here. Oh, come on, you. Okay, so I have a hot lid. Putting that on. Alright. Got 2 hot lids, unfortunately. I think. Yeah, it's hot. Anyways, so I'm going to put that, and then get a hot ring. I'm going to put it upside down so it doesn't get contaminated. Okay, so I put my hot lid on, and then I want to finger tighten my ring. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to do this with all my jars. This is the cheating way. I'm going to leave them like that for 12 to 24 hours. And then when I turn them upside right, I'm going to check to see if they are sealed by pressing on the middle of the lid. If it gives, it's not sealed, which means you have to eat that jar right away. I mean, not like all in one sitting, but that has to be your first jar that you use. Okay, so I am going to do this with the rest of my jars. And then I'm going to label them with the date. Okay, now you want to let these set because they won't be pickled quite yet. I would say for your hamburger slices, at the very least, you want them to set 2 weeks. I do more like 3 to 4 weeks. Spears, you want at least a month. At least, okay? So, spears, I'm going to say I do 4 to 6 weeks. So, by the time we have a jar of store-bought pickles in there, by the time those are done, my first batch will be ready. In fact, I think they're ready next week or within the next few days. But that's, you want to let them set for a while, okay? So the longer you let them set, the more pickled they are, the better they taste, the more flavor they have. And that's about it. Putting up pickles. So I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.